Father Giro sat in the heavy silence of the Parisian cathedral, the confessional booth his familiar wooden prison. The air was thick with the scent of centuries' incense, wax, and the damp chill of ancient stone. It was long past midnight, an hour when the only confessions he usually heard were from the wind rattling the stained glass windows. But tonight, the heavy oak door on the other side of the partition creaked open. A figure entered, not with the quiet shuffle of a penitent sinner, but with a heavy, dragging gait. It was a sound that seemed to pull at the floorboards, a sound of unnatural weight. Gyro's own joints ached in sympathy, a familiar complaint of his old age. He closed his eyes, preparing for another tale of petty theft or envious thoughts. A voice, rough and deep, scraped through the wooden lattice. "Forgive me, Father, for I have trespassed." The words rumbled, vibrating through the thin partition between them. It was a voice that seemed too large for the cramped space, as if the speaker's chest was a cavernous drum. Giro, weary from a long night of prayer and vigil, rubbed the sleep from his eyes. The candles outside the booth flickered, casting, dancing, elongated shadows across the stone walls of the nave. He leaned forward slightly, his ear close to the grille. "Trespassed where, my son Giro asked, his own voice soft with fatigue. He expected to hear of a neighbor's field, or perhaps a sin of the heart, a trespass against a vow. The confession that followed was not one he had ever encountered in his 50 years of service to God. "Into the world of men," the voice replied, each word a low, resonant thrum. "I do not belong here. I have spent this night walking among the villagers, down by the Seine. I tried to stand as they do, on 2 legs. I stole clothes from a line to cover myself. I attempted their words, their greetings, but the disguise... It is failing me, Father. The moonlight... It peels it all away. It reveals the truth of me." A deep frown creased Father Giro's brow. He couldn't quite grasp the meaning. A madman, perhaps, a performer from one of the traveling troops, lost in his role. He had dealt with both before. He decided on a gentle, placating tone. "My son, we are all God's children. There is no need for disguise in his house. Before him we are all laid bare, a sound like a dry chuckle made of stone, grinding on stone, came from the other side. I am no child of your God, Father. I am something... older." The voice dropped, the rumbling quality deepening into a guttural growl that seemed to shake the very foundations of the confessional. The rosary beads, hanging on a small nail beside Giro, rattled against the wood. "The bones in my face. They are shifting. They press against the skin from within. My flesh itches. Father, it burns with the need to shed this smooth shape and grow thick and wild once more. I came here seeking solace, to pray as I have seen the villagers do, but the words are gone from my mind. All I can remember... all I can hear... is the sound of the wind howling through the forest and the snapping of twigs underfoot." Giro froze. His blood ran cold, a sudden icy shock that banished all fatigue. The air in the booth was changing. A new scent was seeping through the grill, overpowering the old incense. It was a heavy, wet, and primal smell, the smell of a storm-soaked forest, of deep upturned earth, and something else, something musky and alive, the scent of wet fur. His heart hammered against his ribs, a frantic drumbeat in the sudden, terrifying silence. Every instinct screamed at him to flee, to throw open his door and run into the cold, empty cathedral. But he was a priest. He could not abandon a soul in torment, no matter how strange or frightening. With a trembling hand, he leaned closer, pressing his eye to the small, cross-hatched openings in the wooden lattice. He tried to make out the silhouette of the man on the other side. He expected to see the shape of a head, the line of a shoulder cloaked in darkness. But he saw no human form. The faint candlelight from the nave beyond was just enough to illuminate what was pressed against the other side of the screen. It was not a human eye. It was a large, luminous orb of yellow, the pupil a stark vertical slit that dilated slowly as it watched him. Giro felt his breath catch in his throat. Just below the eye, a long snout, its skin dark and leathery and slick with moisture, pressed hard against the wood. It sniffed the air deeply, a wet, snuffling sound that was horribly intimate. Giro could feel the creature's breath warm and damp on his own face. He pulled back, a gasp escaping his lips, his hand flying to the crucifix around his neck. It felt small and useless against the ancient terror that now sat only inches away. The voice came again, but it had changed. The deep growl was gone, replaced by a sound that was somehow even more disturbing. It was a desperate whisper, cracking and breaking into a high, pitiful whine, like a dog in pain. "Father," the creature whispered, the word barely recognizable. "Do not open the door, please. I do not want you to see it. I do not want you to see what I have become." A terrible pity mingled with Giro's fear. This creature, this monster from a forgotten age, had come seeking absolution. It had tried to be human and had failed. Now it was trapped between two worlds, its very form a testament to its trespass. Giro's hand, still clutching the crucifix, stopped trembling. He looked at the heavy bolt on his own door, then at the partition separating him from the beast. It had come to confess. It had come for help, and he was a priest. His duty was clear, even if his blood had turned to ice. "My son," Giro said, his voice surprisingly steady. "Confession is not about what we are, but what we have done. Speak your sins. God's mercy is vast enough even for the oldest of his creations." A low, mournful howl echoed in the small booth, a sound of such profound loneliness and despair that it pierced Giro's heart. Outside, the first light of dawn began to touch the high windows of the cathedral, promising a new day. But here, in the darkness of the confessional, an ancient night was just beginning. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more tales from the shadows. We'll see you in the next one.